Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor. I'm back at y'all again. This subject is pertaining to um, the variables of space, time, mass, frequency, and how it coincides with your thoughts. Now, you have your third ventricle of the brain, then you have the fourth ventricle of the brain. The third and fourth ventricle of the brain is what completes your seventh day. 3 and 4, that's 7. All right? What does that have to do with the completion? Well, right now we are on our third. We're only thinking on our third ventricle. The fourth ventricle of our brain is shut down, and it opens up at a certain astrological period where the mind is actually coinciding with the evolution of the so-called time theory that scientists speak about, as far as the astronomical clock. Now, the astronomical clock determines the awakening of certain things and certain portions of things, because everything don't wake up as far as a whole. Now, some things open up pertaining to fragments at times. So right now, as black people, we have certain African bodies that I speak about that is awakening by fragments. And what I mean by fragments is these are baby evolutionary resurrections of the mind, of the spiritual brain, which is a part of the astrological systems. This is why everybody has a sun sign. The sun sign only determines a small portion, because we look at the astrological systems and think that our sun sign determines our full being, when it's really not. We're connected to all of the astrological signs, but we are more dominant. For an example, me as a Scorpio, me being a Scorpio, my planet is Mars, which is the planet of war. So being that Mars is my planet and that's the planet of war, that doesn't mean that I'm just a person who like to go to war. You get what I'm saying? It means that the third ventricle will actually have to shut down. The fourth ventricle will have to open up. So once that fourth ventricle of my brain open up, that means that war part of me, that war side of me, will open up more dominantly. You have to push me into a corner. And when I'm pushed into a corner, therefore, it'll be easily for me to do something without a conscience when it comes to war. This is for all signs. So therefore, everybody who think is not in the same jurisdiction of being alike when it comes to determining their decisions. So when we make decisions based off our astrological clock, time clock. You get what I'm saying? So when you see people in a family touching their kids, uncles touching their nieces and stuff like that, you have to understand that these people are sick. These people have certain parts of the localities of their brain that shut down, being manipulated by way of something that happened in a past life. It's just like when you were a child and you see your mother get beat, that psychologically messes with you. But that's only, something that you did as a child, like 10 or 20 years, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But when I'm talking about something that happened in another dimension can affect you in this dimension. So you see them making their decisions based on something that happened to them unconsciously in the last dimension. They don't know what's wrong with them. They don't know what's going on, because it's based on a certain time, certain locality of dimension. When I say a certain time and certain locality of dimension, I'm talking about the part of the brain, because your brain has dimensions. You have 12 dimensions in your brain, which they call the 12 systems. You can look it up. The 12 systems of the brain, for every system is a dimension. So this is why you can go into certain dimensions. We think that the dimensions is outside of ourselves. The dimensions is inside of ourselves. It's just that we have to tap into these systems. We have to tap into these genetic codes. We could think a certain way and open up certain portals and within our spiritual self. So the thing is here, when we're talking about astral projecting and traveling through certain time zones, we are talking about an astronomical way of thinking. An astronomical way of thinking, meaning that I can be here with you in the same room, but I can tap into a part of my brain that could be somewhere else, functioning on a more higher state or functioning on a much lower state. Just because you go to a higher dimension don't mean that you're functioning on a higher dimension. There's people who do sick shit, murder, rape and all of that. And the dimension is so high that they can't take it. So they kirk out. They do silly stuff. You know what I mean? So, like I said, every person, every thought comes from a different planet. My thoughts come from Mars. A person with Aquarius, their thoughts come from whatever planet they're ruled by. A person who's a Leo, a person who's an etc. So the thing is, this is why we all think differently, because thoughts is not just something that is created in the brain and carried out and act in the physical form or the physicality. A thought it actually abducts the brain from different planets, and this is why everybody don't think the same. And we sit here and argue and trying to change somebody in a relationship. You know what I mean? What you have to do is you have to connect those two planets. Once you connect those two planets by way of you and that other person's brain being stimulated, you stimulating that person's brain, they stimulating your brain. That's what you call making love, bringing the planets together. Once you bring the planets together, now you can compromise and then come into an agreement. This is how you bring the thoughts together. So you have a thought from one planet, I have a thought from another planet. So therefore, my thoughts is alien to your thoughts. So this is what you call the aliens abducting the Earth, your brain being the Earth. Okay, so, with that much said, this is Osei Kufuor, Black Science TV 111. I'm out. Peace.